Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Crystal, and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I haven't read yet that I feel like I should have. So today I have a stack of books that I can't believe I haven't read yet because either one, I was super excited to read them when they came out and when I bought them, or two, they were really recommended to me, or three, they're just part of a series or by an author that I love and I have just been putting off because I'm kind of afraid that they won't live up to the hype. So let's get into it. The first book I have is Mine Till Midnight by Lisa Kleypas. I feel like this is probably one of her more popular, most well-loved books. And anytime I hear anyone talk about Lisa Kleypas, it's usually either this one or, again, The Magic that they talk about loving and recommending. So this one is about Amelia and Cam, and Amelia's family has just recently come into some money and puts them into higher social standings in society. And Cam is sort of already a rich kind of playboy, and I think, now I could be wrong, but I think it's him sort of overcoming his sort of snobbish tendencies and her kind of falling for him. All I know about it is that it's supposed to be wonderful, everyone loves it, and it's a gorgeous cover, and I just really want to read it. So I have to read it. I can't believe I haven't read this yet. And the next book that I have is Wolf Song by T.J. Klune. I only very recently started reading T.J. Klune. I read The House in the Cerulean Sea that came out this year as soon as it came out, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It was magical and beautiful and just lovely and so good. One of my favorite books of the year, as I'm sure it will be on many people's lists for the year. So I know Wolf Song is one of his earlier books, and all I really know about this is that it has a really strong found family aspect. It's paranormal, so they're shifters, and I also feel like it is queer, and so I think it will be a really good series to read. I'm really excited to get into more of his books. The next book that I have, I really can't believe that I haven't read this because it's probably one that has been out the longest by this author, and that is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Now, I have read 2 of other books of Marissa Meyer's. I've read Renegades and Heartless, and I honestly didn't really like either of those. But this book I have really wanted to read just because one of my friends read it and she really liked it. It's a cyborg, futuristic Cinderella retelling. I think pretty much everyone knows about it. But I just read the cover, the back cover again for this video, and I was like, why haven't I read that? It sounds amazing. So also, this version has a step back. What? How cool is that? I didn't know that until just now. I bought this new cover and I just have to read it. So, the next book on my list is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This was actually the first Riley Sager book that I bought because I believe it was probably one that he's most well known for. And I still haven't read it. I've read his other two of his more current releases. I read Lock Every Door, which I liked. I gave 3 out of 5 stars. And then I also read Home Before Dark, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars because it was amazing. And if you haven't read that, please read that in October. It's perfect for spooky season. So this book is basically a thriller, and it's about the main character, I can't remember her name, Quincy. She goes on a trip with her 5 friends, and she's the only one who comes back alive. Something really terrible happens, and they were all killed, and she becomes one of a rare group of individuals known as Final Girls, the survivors from, like, really horrific killings and crimes and things like that. And so she ends up meeting other girls who are like her, other Final Girls, and they kind of start having, like, therapy sessions. And then the crimes start happening again, and someone is picking off the Final Girls in that group. So this sounds really amazing. As I was going through all of these books just now and trying to see which one I felt like I would be most interested in, this one really stood out to me, so I think I may pick this up soon. I'm kind of in the mood to be freaked out as the weather gets colder and, you know, spooky season. I sort of gravitate towards thrillers, so we'll see. I think I'll pick this up this year. And the next book is one that is recently getting a lot of hype because the sequel just came out, and that is Serpent and Dove. I can't believe I haven't read this because it has my favorite trope of all time in here, enemies to lovers, and a forced marriage, and I know it's a YA fantasy with, I think it's Louise is a witch and Reed is a witch hunter, and I'm not entirely sure about the fantasy plot elements, other than I know that they end up together in a forced marriage and romance. So it sounds really good. I really need to pick this up soon. Has everything that I want, but there's a part of me that's really worried, like, what if I don't like it? And then I will be sad. And the next book on my list is one by one of my all-time favorite authors. She's probably in my top 3 favorite authors of all time. I cannot believe I haven't read this book. And that is Vengeful by V.E. Schwab. I absolutely loved Vicious by V.E. Schwab. I love and adore A Darker Shade of Magic. That series is so beautiful. One of my favorite fantasy series of all time. I've read the Monsters of Verity, the Savage Song, and Our Dark Duet. Loved that series too. I even have read her sort of underground YA series, The Archived and the Unbound, and loved that too. I feel like she has not written anything that I have read that I haven't loved. So this one and then The Near Witch, her very first release, are the only books of hers that I haven't read. And I can't believe I haven't read this yet. I think that I pre-ordered this one. It got here. I started to hear some mixed reviews for this, and then I got really put off on reading it because I just didn't want it to disappoint me, because I love V.E. Schwab so much. She's one of my favorite writers. She always will be. I just adore her books, and I can't believe I haven't read this. I also have her new book that's coming out in October, Addie LaRue, pre-ordered. So I have to read this before Addie LaRue comes out because I am reading that immediately. So this will happen. And the next book that I have on my list, I'm not really surprised that I haven't read it because it's really not my favorite genre, but I'm also a little surprised I haven't read it because it is so well loved, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This is almost literary fiction type. I don't know if I would call it literary fiction, but it's basically about World War II, but it's the women's side of the story. And I think it follows 2 sisters and sort of the women's war, what they had to do behind the scenes for the war. I've heard it's beautiful and heartbreaking, and anyone who has read this, I don't know anyone who hasn't given this 5 stars that I've seen read this, so I know I will love it. It's a big book, very thick. I know it's gonna be a gut punch, an emotional roller coaster, and maybe this winter I'll pick it up. But yeah, 2020 definitely hasn't seemed like the year to pick up books that are gonna just break your heart and make you cry. But I really do want to read this, so definitely gonna get to this maybe soon. We'll see. And the next book on my list is Girls of Paper and Fire by Natasha Nyan. I think that's how you pronounce that. I'm not sure. I know this book got a lot of buzz and hype when it was first released, and I fear that the second book, I know there are 2 out, was not quite as well received as the first, but I still want to read this. As far as I know, this book is about sort of a fantasy world, and there are different types of demons cast, and humans are sort of like the lower caste, so they're the paper girls, and then you have like different types of demons mixed with humans, I think, and I'm not explaining this very well, but I read the first opening page of this book and was just absolutely hooked. I don't know why I didn't finish reading it. I think I just read it at the bookstore when I picked it up to see if I would like the writing style, because I believe this was her debut book, and it was just lovely, beautifully written. I think the reason I didn't pick this up is because I know that it has trigger warnings for sexual assault and violence, and it just seemed like a really heavy topic that I didn't feel like I was ready to read at the time. But I definitely do want to get to it. I think it's beautiful, and it sounds like it will be a great story. And the next book on my list is No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is a thriller, and again, this is one of those books that I feel like most people who have loved this have said that it's one of those thrillers that you cannot put down. It's just completely captivating. You have to know what happens next. All I know about this one is that it follows a girl who is traveling home for the holidays, and she ends up at a gas station to fill up her car with gas, and as she's going back out to her car, she sees in a neighboring car a child in someone else's car in a cage, and so she sets off to follow them, and, you know, thrilling, mysterious, what's gonna happen happens. But I love thrillers like this, and I don't know why I haven't read it. yet, but I want to get to it soon. And the last book on my list of books I can't believe I haven't read yet is Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. I bought this as my book of the month pick for the month it was released, so I think that was last year sometime. And that would have been, this was before I was ever interested in historical romance at all. I know a lot of people love it, but I feel like people either love it or they're just kind of like meh about it. And now that I have read so many more historical romance, I'm really curious to see what my opinion of this would be. I think that this is I don't really know exactly what this is about other than she is part of a women's suffrage movement and she's trying to bring down the Duke. And I'm assuming that's the romance. So I've heard it's cute, lighthearted, fun, happy. I really want to read it and I just haven't yet. So I don't know when I'll get to this. I know the sequel comes out soon. And I've started to hear mixed reviews about that one, but I still really want to read this because I love a cute, happy historical romance. Okay, those are the books on my shelves that I can't believe I haven't read yet. Hope you guys liked that video. Let me know down below if you have read any of these and which ones you would have me prioritize over the others. Let me know which ones were your favorite out of these and if you agree with the hype. Thanks so much for watching and we'll see you next time. Thank you.